going on? Angel624 here, bringing you another glorious review. Um, Something that has been on, my mind for the last, few days, and something that I've gradually come to realize. Warner Brothers is a company that I think has honestly been in my life a really big part of my television experience. Warner Brothers, as you know, is started as a film production company and moved on to the other medias. I'd consider their ventures into television, kids television, mostly, to be the most successful, which is what I'm going to be going into. Keep in mind that any Warner Brothers kids shows are on a multitude of networks, so this is not network based. This is Warner Brothers. Whenever you see the logo before the show, before the movie, before anything, but whatever logo spot it is, whether it's Bugs Bunny coming out after the music and whatever it is, I believe Warner Brothers has, with their kids shows, kids movies, even movies in general, has just had a major impact on my life, and something that I feel like sharing with everybody really quick. I think that where it started for me was the first film that I saw from them was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and that's a very old film from the very late '60s going into the '70s. There's something about the production value that they put into their films, and just a multitude of different things that they've done. I mean, then going to Batman, the first Batman film directed by Tim Burton, to the new Batman films, Inception, to a bunch of different, things that I look at as, it really is incredible to think that this company has had so many just wonderful, wonderful things about it, and it's done so many wonderful things. They've released Harry Potter, which was incredible. I mean, they've done so many wonderful things with the company, and what they have done, it just created some of the best films in my mind. And I right now I think they're in the top 5 highest grossing. I think they're in that list. But now moving on to the main bulk, definitely the kids shows had a lot, really. I mean, Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Batman the Animated Series, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! These were, you got to remember, they were all distributed by Warner Brothers. More or less co-distributed, but the animes were co-distributed by Warner Brothers and 4Kids. Mainly, it was percentages, and you know how it is. I mean, but the first time that I saw these shows was licensed under Warner Brothers. Just keep that in mind. The blocks that they used to have with these shows are incredible. I mean, I look at the production value of these shows. I mean, not many cartoons nowadays put that much production value into their shows. I mean, Batman the Animated Series, award-winning show. Look at all the award-winning shows, and that'll show you the production value. I mean, Batman, Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, the big trips in the '90s. I mean, you're looking at shows that have won countless daytime Emmys and countless awards. I mean, what are the Nick doesn't produce that. Cartoon Network, really, they produced maybe 1 or 2 that have really been long-standing. But Warner Brothers, I mean, for God's sake, I mean, look at all of these shows that they have produced and distributed to everybody. I mean, it's incredible. It is. I cannot think of another network, another distributing company, another anything that has had that tremendous impact on anybody's childhood. I mean, these shows, Batman the Animated Series, I mean, start with that and brief, it's the story of Batman just with, Paul Dini and Bruce Timm. It's their twist, and it's just such a dark show, and it's just produced so many memories for a lot of people in my age group and younger and older. I mean, musically, art-wise, it's a beautiful show. I mean, not many things beat that in terms of a show that is there for everybody. I mean, everybody can take a piece of that show. So, Tiny Toons was released years earlier. That's a cartoon. And the thing is the shows, the trend of their shows is their shows. You know, Animaniacs included two that came out post Tiny Toons. But the content of the shows, of all three of these shows that I've just mentioned, the three main ones, have really pushed boundaries. I mean, censors were going crazy with these shows. I mean, nobody had been releasing anything like this. Nobody had seen this kind of content on shows. I mean, it was adult content, adult humor, adult drama that was put into kids shows. I mean, Nick wasn't doing that. Nick was running sitcoms, and I'm talking mainly the late '80s and the early '90s right now, because that's the time that I grew up. You know, Cartoon Network wasn't even really around until the mid '90s. So, they had the reruns of corny '80s shows, and they didn't have any really original shows. Their original shows were in that flavor, like Dexter's Lab and all that, but nothing had really touched upon that. Animation style too. I mean, the content of these shows was just incredible. Comes to mind, it's like a show like Pinky and the Brain. That's another good one, and all of these shows combined to making millions. I mean, you look at the reruns of these shows where they ran on syndication. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you look and these are spanned over three different companies, Viacom and friggin' whoever owns Cartoon Network, which I believe is Viacom. So Viacom really took them over. Reruns, for a short time. I don't know why they cut them down. I mean, people watch these shows. People would buy the DVDs of these shows because they're just there's so much effort put into it that you'd be a fool not to. You'd be a fool not to appreciate that. I mean, you don't see that in modern cartoons. I'd go up to my parents right now and be like, you could watch these shows and enjoy it. Forget that it's animated. There's a legitimate feeling that you feel for these characters, whether it's the comedies or the dramas that they produced. You feel like there's a sense of danger. Disney was probably their biggest combatant with Warner Brothers, and they were killing Disney. I mean, Gargoyles was a pretty serious show for Disney, but it came around so late, and it didn't move along with the times, and everybody had gotten their fill with Batman, and everybody was, getting their fills, with the shows. I think that what I miss the most, probably now getting into this, is the Warner Brothers, the Kids WB sessions on where I live in New York. It was Channel 9 at the time. That was the block. I'd wake up on Saturday morning to watch that. That was the block. That was the block to watch. Period. I wasn't watching Cartoon Network. I wasn't watching Nickelodeon. I was watching that because although Nick and Cartoon Network had this is a station for kids and teenagers. Nah, man. That Kids WB had the best shows. Batman and Tiny Toons and Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Static Shock. That was later. That was a big favorite of mine. Superman, and I really liked Superman because I felt like Superman was copying Batman a lot in terms of stories, and just it didn't catch on to me. I thought that honestly, a lot of people love the animated Superman series. It doesn't really hit home for me. Mostly because I just didn't really feel it. I thought that there was a lot to be left to be desired, and I thought that the character of Superman is just nowhere near like Batman. But that's neither here nor there. That WB block, man, that was where it's at. You were not cool in my book if you didn't watch that. You weren't. Because Nick, I mean, the shows just were there was no comparison. None whatsoever. It wasn't about merchandise, it was about effort. And I feel like that, people overlook the WB block because the Warner Brothers block, I tell you, whatever network they were putting on for, whatever syndicated network that they were putting out for, the effort of the shows was incredible. I mean, you really do not get much better than the shows that I've listed off. And they ran long. I mean, for God's sake, these shows run 3 or 4 years. That's a long time for television. And especially kids' television. I'll give you an example. The new Thundercats show. It came out. I think it was on for 2 months. I haven't heard anything from it now. It doesn't last 2 months from Tiny Toons, which lasted until 95. From 88 to 95, 9, 10, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 7 years, and then Animaniacs took the slack. And Animaniacs was in pre-production right as Tiny Toons was ending. Then Batman the Animated Series went from 92 to 95, and then Batman and Robin picked up and went to 98. And then Batman Beyond came in and ran to like 2002. That's 90. That's 10 years. That's a 10-year story arc. That is a story arc that went for 10 years. What shows have the ability to do that? 92 went from Batman not starting out, but the show starting out, to Batman Beyond, which is 2001 to 2002. That show didn't last as long, but the point is that you're stretching from 92 to 95 to 95 to 98 to 99 rather, to 2002, let's say, because then Cartoon Network took the shift. Nothing gets better than that. Nothing. I really. That's a 10-year story. That's a 10-year story arc. No show can do that. None. No show can nowadays anyway. Maybe if they tried. I mean, I like to say that the Cartoon Network shows in the early 2000s had that potential, but that's neither here nor there. Different topic. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, no shows really can compete with that. Any of those shows, any of those Warner Brothers shows that were produced by them, that were distributed by Warner Brothers, were funded. Forget about it. Anyway, thank you very much. Just mid-review. I mean, hey, gotta do what I can. That was just something that was on my mind. So keep it posted up. Later.